Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have a king representing the state of California. His name is Rey Reyes. Rey Reyes is the #1 loan officer in Orange, California, according to Scotsman Guide, the leading benchmark for ranking in the mortgage industry. As an accomplished mortgage loan originator, Rey has over 18 years of experience and a proven track record with helping clients get pre-approved for a new mortgage loan or refinance. You can get in touch with Rey at weloanusa.com or 714-206-4048. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Rey. Hey, Rey, how are you?
What's up, brother? I'm doing well. And yourself?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Hope you're having your best day ever.
Every day is a good day.
Yeah, I can believe that. Wow, you're repping with the We Loan. I like that.
All the time.
Lifestyle brand. Rey,
Yeah.
share with me, what made you want to get into mortgages or the real estate industry in general?
When I started when I was very young, and I just got excited for the possibilities of what it can provide as far as money wise. So because of that, I said, look, okay, I'm gonna join the industry. A lot of my friends were joining the real estate industry, and they were selling houses and they were doing really well. And so I said, I don't want to sell houses. I want to do loans. So I happened to know someone from church, and they were the loan processors, and they said, hey, you know what? I think you'd be good in loans. So why don't you come try, give it a try? So that's how it all started, and I just kind of stuck through it.
Nice, nice. So, did you start as a loan processor first, or did you actually jump
No,
in?
the loan processor is the one that recruited me into her company.
Nice, nice. And what do you think was like the turning point in your career journey where you're like your eyes lit up, like, wow, I'm about to take market share?
I never really looked at it as far as like how much, like for example, like uh, I just stayed consistent. My goal was never like to make all this money, and my thing is, how many people can I help? So I never really had a turning point on as far, I haven't had that that wow moment. I've done really well over the last, ever since I started, I actually done pretty well for myself. And I've stayed consistent. I've stayed active, and I'm doing loans every single day. But to me, it's just how can I get better, and how can I make my team better? And I think when everything starts clicking in a little bit better, then I'll have that moment. But right now, I'm just enjoying the ride and just doing the best we can.
Nice. How many people are part of your team? Huh? And when did you start like building your team? Would you say?
So I have obviously we have the We Loan team, which we have quite a bit of people, and then I have my own team. So I have assistants that I work with, where they help me take the application, gather documents, follow with clients. I get the loan, I get the lead, and I talk to the clients, and then they help me kind of do all the paperwork. So right now I have four assistants right now full time.
Damn, good for you're crushing, brother. You're crushing. You're scaling
I need
up.
one more. I need one more. One looking for one more, for more of a personal assistant. Just get bombarded with emails and things like that. So that's the next phase.
Always optimizing. I love it. Always
Yeah.
optimizing. In 2025, like, what do you think is the most misunderstood thing about purchasing a home for like the borrower consumer?
The most misunderstood thing right now in 2025 is that when rates drop, it's going to become more affordable. Everybody's waiting for that. Everybody's saying, "Hey, you know what? I'll buy when rates drop." And just based on what happened when rates dropped the last time, it just gets more expensive because more buyers are going to be joining the market. They're going to be trying to buy a property. So that's the biggest thing right now, where people are just holding back. Right, they're holding back because they believe that for whatever reason rates are going to drop, and that's going to allow them to afford more, and that's just simply not the case.
Yeah, can I delve a little bit deeper on this, right? Because this is something I try to educate people. Like, how do you explain to like a consumer, hey, like your income that you're like your W-2 job, like your income's only going to raise 2 or 3% every year. That
Hmm.
house that you like is actually going to go up 5 or 6. So like
Hmm.
actually like right now is actually the best time to buy instead of wait. Like, how do you explain
Hmm.
that to a consumer when they give you the oh, I'm just going to wait till rates drop? Like how do you explain that to them like in a nice way?
Well, I tend to go a little bit deeper, right? Sometimes people are looking for an excuse to not do something. And so they'll use the excuse of rates. I mean, a lot of consumers, for the most part, they're not up to date with what's affecting the rate market. They're not up to date with, the bond market, or what's happening with the employment market, or what's happening with, the PPI report or the CPI. They're not up to date with any of that stuff. They're just saying, you know what, I'm just gonna wait until rates drop. And so when they say that, I'm just trying to get a little bit more deeper. It's like, okay, I tried to kind of put that on the back, and not really focus on it, and try to really focus on what's making them say that. So, do they think that by rates dropping, or do you think you're going to be able to afford more of a home, or do you think you're going to be able to pay less monthly? And so, if they say, look, I'm looking to pay less monthly because, yeah, I can't afford this payment. So then at that point we try to say, okay, well, we got two options here. One, we can try to find a house that's less expensive, or two, we can try to get some type of 1-1 buy down, or a 2-1 buy down, and at least they get some of the payment that they want. And so when rates do drop, they just refinance it and they just keep that rate for the rest of the term. And if that doesn't do it, then not everybody's really ready to just say, "Hey, I'm gonna prepare my everything, and I'm just gonna buy a house, and I'm ready." Right? It's just, you kind of have to walk them through the process. And if they're giving you those little excuses, you just have to really, drill down and see what's causing it. Right? It's everybody's a consumer, right? I'm a consumer. You're a consumer. And we don't just go to a dealer and say, "Oh, I'm going to buy this car. I'm ready to buy this car right now. I'm prepared." Right? It's just like, okay, you go see it, you test drive it, talk to the family, kind of, you let it sink in, and gradually you start getting ready for it. Obviously, a house is a little bit different because people need to live somewhere, and they're currently renting, and there's a lot of factors, like what are they paying for rent, are they kicking them out, or do they live with the family, do they, what's causing them to try to buy a house. We try to focus on that part, right? And then obviously we want to make sure that when people buy a house, that they're not going to buy a house and then foreclose on it later. We want them to be comfortable with the payment, and be as comfortable, so that way it's part of the experience. It becomes of like, wow, I was able to purchase a house and I'm able to maintain my property. Not like, hey, I purchased a house and I'm all stressed out and now I'm using all my credit cards, and it just becomes a big problem, right? So we try to get a little bit more personable with the client. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't make sense for them, and you can't walk them in through buying a house, you just follow up with them later, and you just keep going, right? I mean, there's no magic word you can tell someone to be like, okay, you told me that, I'm gonna buy it right now. It's just, you kind of just have to be as informative as possible, as helpful as possible, and just kind of walk them through the process, and make them feel good about it.
Yeah, of course. Eventually, there's gonna be like an epiphany or self discovery where they realize now's the time instead of waiting. And
Yeah.
do you think there's any other misconceptions when people are taking out loans or purchasing a home?
I mean, right now, I mean, the biggest misconception is just the rates, and then the other is that they're waiting for the market to crash, right? They're like, "Hey, I'm gonna wait for the market to crash, and then I'll buy something." But they don't know, like, if the market crashes, that more than likely their employment is gonna crash too, because it's not just going to be the market, right? The market's not just going to, the houses are not just going to drop, and everyone's income is going to stay the same, and everything else is going to, I mean, if the market crashes, I mean, employment gets affected, affordability gets affected, a lot of things get affected. So just because it's lower doesn't mean you're necessarily going to afford it. But I mean, nobody's hoping for a market crash. Things are, I mean, just based off everything, things are pretty steady. But that's the thing. I'm going to wait for the market to crash, or I'm going to wait for rates to drop, right? Um, but those are just the people that are, they're like I said, they're looking for an excuse to pull out, and we try not to let that affect us. There's a lot of people out there that are in the market to buy, and those are the ones that we want to help, right? Again, you're not going to help 100% of the people, but there's a statistic that says that anybody that looks to buy a house eventually becomes a homeowner, right?
Damn.
So if it doesn't matter if you're going to own right now or you're going to own in 2 years or 3 years, I mean, 10 years, you might buy a house in 10 years. I mean, the percentage of people that look into buying a house and eventually will buy a house. So, if we can't help you now, all we have to do is follow up. I mean, that's where loan officer CRMs come up, and you just follow up. Doesn't matter if you have to follow up for a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. We're still, I'm still planning to be in the industry 4 years from now. So hey, if I have to call you once a month and fill you in and talk to you for the next 4 years, that's what we'll do. And if I can't do it, then my assistants will, and that's how we grow our business.
Not true. Yeah, no, yeah, building that funnel, top of the funnel, middle funnel, and bottom of the funnel. So yeah,
Hmm.
just progressively moving them through.
Hmm.
Right. If you could change one thing about the industry, like what would it be and why?
If I can change one thing about the industry, would be transparency, right? That there's been a lot of times where uh, I've temporarily lost a loan or a client because another lender offered them something that just doesn't exist, and clients just tend to believe it. I mean, they just say, "Oh, wow, they're giving me so much better," and they're giving them they're giving me.
One sec. I think you had an incoming call. You're on mute for some reason. One sec. You're on mute. Not yet. Uh, huh. I think I can. No, I can't hear you. We're having technical difficulties, but Ray should be. Now maybe if like maybe if you hop off and then hop back in. And yeah, just gonna wait here. Hopefully Ray can come back. There he is. Ray, I hear you now. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're back on. Okay, I'm not sure what happened. That my mic wasn't muted, but you weren't able to hear me. I know your camera goes on and off, so I'm not sure if there's maybe a connection issue. But anyways, I just sometimes what I like to change is just the transparency. There's a lot of loan officers out there that'll quote things that just don't exist, and they just confuse the client. They make it uncomfortable. Then you're having to explain to them, and then they say, there's some that end up leaving, and then they come back. They'll be like, hey, they try to offer me this, and then they try to change it up for me at the last minute. So um I mean, that's pretty much it. Everything else is standard. I mean, everything's part of the process.
Nah, here you you touching on that. Do you ever get affected by trigger leads where like you pull someone credit and then like 20, 30 loan officers just call that client that you just got their credit report for. Has that happened to you yet?
I mean, it happens to everybody. Yeah, that happens. I mean, that's what trigger leads are there for. I actually started my business a while back with trigger leads, and we were the people that were calling. Yeah,
Yo, that's hilarious. Did you really?
yeah.
That's funny. Did you
So you
did
call and you have to go through a process through Experian, and you just got to buy the leads.
Nice. Would
But
you have success going that route? Out of
it
curiosity.
was actually, yeah, it was really successful. There's a lot of, you have to, the biggest success we had with trigger leads was not to call them when they first run the credit, but 2 to 3 weeks after, because by that time their loan officer either finished the deal or dropped the ball. And if they drop the ball, then you just pick it up. And if they finish the deal, then you just move on. But to call them immediately, you'll get some success, but 2 to 3 weeks after the initial trigger, that's the hot spot for us, or it was. Yeah.
Nah, thanks for sharing that insight. That's fun. You're seeing the full circle moment, even on
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most courageous decision you made recently, and how did it impact you?
The most courageous decision of in terms of what?
Just in your career in general, or in life.
You know what? The most decision is just to kind of, when you're doing something, you have to just really just kind of give it your all. I mean, that's one thing that I do here every day. Like, I'll have loan officers, they'll call me, they'll be like, hey, you know what, this is a little bit hard, or, I can't make all the calls that you're kind of guiding us to make. And I'm like, you have to keep pushing. I mean, it's not going to be easy, right? And if you learn to give up easily, then that's the results you're going to get. But if you learn to get push past the pain, then the glory is at the other side of that. And so we just learn to push through whatever obstacle there is, and you got to just keep going. There's bad news in the industry every single day, and there's days where you get some good news. And what I've learned is, as a loan officer, your success is directly correlated with how well you deal with stress, and how calm you keep throughout the process. And so that's what we learn. We learn to deal with stress, and we learn to deal with bad news, and it's not always happy. I mean, it's not always, people say, oh, you're closing, you close 10 escrows, you must be doing real. And I'm like, it's just 10 escrows in 1 month. It's 15 escrows in 1 month. I mean, we went through a lot to go through that, right? And so you have to just understand that everything is moving. Not everything is guaranteed. Not everything is on in your within your reach, within your hands and your control. And as long as you learn that and keep pushing, you're going to succeed. And anybody can succeed in this industry as long as they keep going.
No, very true, man. Very true. It's not, this industry is not for Luke. You really got to have that mindset of prevailing
Yeah.
over adversity.
Mhm.
Or have you
Mhm.
started implementing AI into like your system and structure yet, or is that something that you've been pondering?
Yeah, we're slowly implementing I mean AI with follow-ups, and with property values, and certain things. So I mean, that's you're seeing more of that now. Now there's AI underwriting. Um, so slowly, slowly, but yeah, I mean, everything's heading that direction, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's just figuring out how to optimize and create more efficiency for yourself.
Hmm.
And you don't have to answer this, Ray, but like, how do you handle criticism or negative feedback about your work if it's ever occurred?
If from a buyer,
Yeah, or from anybody. Yep.
um, I used to not deal with the, I used to be very defensive. Like, a buyer or an agent say, hey, look, this is how we're feeling. And I'd be like, well, you're feeling that way because, your client didn't do this on time, or, the reason why we're late is because I told you to do this 2 weeks ago, you didn't get it done. And so, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, right? And so I used to be confrontational. Now I take it pretty good. If somebody tells me, hey, this is how I feel, and that's how they feel, I can't argue with how they feel. And my thing is, okay, well, let's learn from it. Let's get better from that, so that the next person doesn't go through it. and then we try to do our best to explain the situation so it makes sense to them on why things went down the way they did. um but at the end of the day, I mean, we're in the business of building relationships. If I'm not going to get anywhere getting confrontational with the client or with the realtor or anybody at escrow, anybody, right? It's just we take it in, and like I said, you have to be able to take the criticism, and if they feel that way, then you have to analyze it yourself. You hang up the call and you analyze it, and you say, okay, this person, um, was there any value to their input, right? Does it have any leverage, and is it real? And then you analyze it, be like, okay, look, well, I see where they're coming from, and let me try to improve that for the next clients. And sometimes that's how you get better, right? There's no class on how to be the best loan officer. We're all learning as we go, and it's just part of personalities. And so you have to be able to understand that clients and realtors and everybody has their own personality, and you have to just we're here to we're the ones providing a service, right? So we have to be understanding and respectful to their feelings.
No, you're truly right. Being a loan officer is like you're in the school of hard knocks. I
Yeah,
think the numbers are like 20%. Like out of 100 people, 20 are gonna love you no matter what you say or do. 20 are gonna not like you even if you're perfect, and it's the other 60 that or 870 that you can influence and persuade. So you can't win them all. But like,
yeah.
thank you for giving me your feedback. Um, in 2025, like who or what inspires you the most in your work? Because you're already successful. So like what keeps you going?
Just progress. Progress keeps me going, and so I want to see what there's a lot of thought that goes into my process and to the experience that I want to deliver to the realtors and the clients and everybody. And so seeing that unfold, that's what keeps me going. And I tell my wife all the time, I tell her, look, if you knew all the technology and everything that I'm trying to put in place to make it easier to borrow and lend and get clients, I mean, it's pretty amazing. So that's what keeps me going. It's just working towards a more seamless process, getting more leads. I mean, that's one thing that a lot of loan officers don't do very well is they don't market themselves. And so offer technology. There's something where you can be the best loan officer, but if you don't have any clients, what does it matter, right? And so there's a lot of loan officers that don't get any clients. And so me, I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of clients that trust me, a lot of realtors that trust me. And my thing is I'm really passionate about getting better, right? Like I said, like the one thing that I guess that you can say that keeps me going is I want to be the first um, Mexican loan officer to lend $1 billion in 1 year as a loan officer, right? And so that's what keeps me going, and that's my vision, and that's where I'm like, okay, how do I get there? It's hard. It's not easy. I did like 80 million last year, which is it's okay, but it's nowhere near my goal. And so I'm like, okay, if I want to get there and I have that goal, then your goal is supposed to change the way that you act, right? And so, for example, you said, okay, how do you deal with feedback? How do you deal with problems? And so, if you have a goal of funding $1 billion or even $100 million in 1 year, whatever your goal is, that's how you're gonna treat people. If I have a goal to lend 5 million in 1 year, and I'm not gonna care if the client cancels me. I'm not gonna care about the feedback. I'm not gonna care about our experience, or I'm not gonna care about what people have to say or what type of experience I'm giving. I'm not gonna care about any of that because I'm like, okay, I just gotta do 5 million. I'm good. But if I'm gonna do 100 million in 1 year, then you start thinking, okay, everybody that I speak to, I have to really deliver the experience because they're part of my goal. They're part of my 100 million that I want to do. They're part of my billion that I want to do. And so you see it in a way where you helping them is going to help me meet my goal. So how many people can I help? Okay, you could be upset. Everybody goes through bad days. This is one thing that I tell my people here all the time is that we're working. Most of our appointments are over the phone, and you don't know what type of day the other person had. I mean, they could have. had a bad day at work. You know, there's some times where you just have a bad day just because you had a bad day, you know. And so if you get somebody on a bad day, they're going to respond to you in one way, and then later on you get them on a good day, they're going to respond to you in a different way. And don't take it personal. Just be yourself and try to meet your goals. And if helping them buy a house or helping them refinance is part of your goal, then you got to just be able to deal with the good and the ugly, right? And somebody told me this a long time ago, and it kind of stuck with me. And it's, I said, okay, look, you're doing one loan, right? You're doing 4 loans, and you want to do 8 loans. Then you got to be able to deal with twice the amount of good things and twice the amount of bad things. You want to do 16 loans? Well, guess what? Now you got to be dealing with 4 times the good thing, but you're going to have to deal with 4 times the bad thing. You can't just increase your numbers and only increase the good things about the business. You have to, everything's going to go up, and you got to just be ready for it. And I am.
You know, the ebbs and flows. You're totally right. The fact you're super ambitious in general, the fact that you want a 10x, like you're thinking big, brother. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Kudos to you for thinking that big. Can you share like a story, like a memorable success or failure that sticks with you? Please.
With the client.
Just in general, like any part of your career, like some lesson.
I mean, again, it's, I mean, there's a lot of stories, but my thing is just always try to do the good, always try to do the right thing. And so there's a lot of loan officers that they're just trying to see how much they can make per a loan. Like, how much can I get paid for this loan? Can I make more on this loan? And I deal with it firsthand. I have loan officer friends and acquaintances, and they're like, their first thing is always like, how much can I get paid on this loan? You know? And my thing is like, man, that's just not the way to, you know, see the business. Right? You have to try to see how much you can help that person. You're delivering an experience. So um, if there's one thing that I can tie my success to, is just always trying to do the right thing, so that way you're delivering the best experience that you can. And so you know, that happened to me from actually one of my first clients about 19 years ago. I just I just, you know, their kids are now my clients. So, and they're, I mean, my client was older, obviously, when I did the loan, and I've off of that one client, and that's one client where they were getting ripped off. They were refinancing, and the person's like, "Oh, you already signed. You can't cancel. You can't cancel this loan anymore." And I'm like, "No, you have a 3-day rescission. You can still cancel." And they were telling him, "No, you can't cancel. It's too sorry. We're, you know, sorry about that." And he went to my house. I mean, he went to my office. He was my friend's dad, and he went to my office. I said, "No, no, we can cancel," and I helped him cancel. I went to the escrow. I got my broker involved. Like, I went above and beyond, and then obviously after that, I helped him do his loans. But from that transaction, I kid you not, just from them, from the kids, from the family, from the friends of friends, just from that one client, I've probably done over 150 transactions just from that family over
Holy
the
shit,
last, 18 years.
that's wicked. Just going above and beyond once. You left an experience that like that's a lifetime customer. Like, like
And every time I see them, it's like they remember that. He tells me all the time, like, "Hey, you remember you helped me?" And I say, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh," and now his brothers and his kids' friends and the wives, and I mean, they all just come over just because of them, just because that person helped all his family. Like,
my
he was the one that he guided them how to purchase. So they all looked for him for guidance, and I helped him. And so now if he sends everybody, he sends my way.
he's vouching for. He's like one of your
Mhm.
raving fans. Like
Mhm.
kudos
Yeah,
to you for going above and beyond for him too.
yeah. And that's why
Uh,
you always have to do the right thing. Because if I wouldn't have helped them, I mean, imagine what, that's 150 transactions. That's a lot of money.
a lot. That's a lot, brother. Good for you, man. Just switching gears a little bit. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
If I could have what?
Dinner with any historical figure?
Dinner, I would have dinner with Jim Ron.
Jim Ron, what's the story behind that?
Jim Ron is one of the initial motivational speakers, probably the best one that I can
You
that I
mentor
can.
Tony Robbins?
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from now. I see where
Well,
you're
Tony
coming.
Robbins took all his stuff from Jim Ron. Yeah,
Probably.
yeah. So if I can have lunch with anybody, if I can pick a few that I can have, Jim Ron. Um, who else? I mean, that's probably the top one.
That's a good choice. That's a good
Hmm.
choice. I'm sure he will leave you with like inspired to keep
Oh yeah.
wanting more. And
Hmm.
who or what who influences you or inspires you in 2025?
Jim Ron. Every
Yeah,
day.
nice man. Is there like a certain mantra, a certain phrase you always tell yourself that he preaches or what?
I mean, I hear him. I mean, I have him here in my office. Look, I watch it. I watch his videos every day. Like,
Holy smokes! This is you're like you're like embedding that subconsciously then.
yeah, every day I'm doing that. I buy all the books. Um, I like the old school figures. More. I feel like I can connect with them a little bit more than like Anthony Robbins. I mean, yeah, he's good and he pumps you up and everything, but it's just I connect more with the older figures, and so I listen to him almost daily.
Not good for you, man. You're no,
Hmm.
you're even you've done your 10,000 hours and you're still trying to improve.
Hmm.
Like most people, like they kind of have an ego and say, "I've done here," like they stop. But you're still a sponge. You're still learning.
Yeah, of
Kudos to
course,
you. Man. And
of course.
what do you think is the key to maintaining a work-life balance, and how do you apply it in your life?
Um, that's a very important thing because there's and I tell people all the time. Every time I tell you, I tell everybody else. I said you have to know how to be at work. When you're at work, you have to be at work. You have to do things that are work related. But a lot of people don't know how to be at home. They're at home trying to work. They're at home trying to browse the internet on, no, you got to know, one thing that Jim Rohn says is wherever you are, be there. Right. And so if you're at work, be at work. If you're at home, be at home. If you're at dinner with your wife, be at dinner with your wife. You got to mentally be where you're at. And so it doesn't matter if you spend, 10 hours at work at the office. If you're at home and you're giving them the right attention, that's what it matters, right? And so work life balance to me is, I mean, I have work, I have my house, I have my wife, I have 3 kids. And so you have to understand that you're here for them, right? You're not here for yourself. And so you have to be at work and be as efficient and do as much as you can, and then go from there.
I'll tell you, being present. Yeah, you always be present no matter what you do.
Hmm.
And for someone, what's your advice for somebody starting out in the industry? Like usually, what we do today takes like 2 or 3 months to play out in the future. So like, if someone come to you like, "Hey, Ray, I want to join your team," like, what's your advice on to maybe closing a loan in like 3 months?
Well, I didn't close my first loan until 6 months after I joined the industry. So I
Oh,
always tell
man.
them, right? I went
Whoa,
6 months with not closing one deal.
whoa,
Yeah,
that's prevailing over adversity right there.
yeah. So, my thing is if if you focus on the money, you're always going to be disappointed. If you're focused on helping somebody and that's how you see it, then and that's how you interpret it, then all you have to go is look out for somebody who needs help buying a house and focus on helping them, and you'll close your deal.
No, no, yeah, no,
But you
you're
have to have help on the back of your mind, not money.
no, no, you're focused on this. You're literally focused on the solution. You're solution oriented, and you really like to give like an exceptional user experience.
Hmm.
Like you actually care about the client. I can tell.
Of
And
course.
then and then Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10? I know. I think you mentioned the billion, but like in 5 to 10 years, like do you plan on like running your own branch, or like where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
No, I see myself as creating a virtual lending experience, seamless, like similar to like buying a Tesla. I don't know, have you ever bought a Tesla?
No, I haven't. Is it very convenient?
You go on your phone, you download your phone, you pick your color, your car, you pick everything, boom, and there's no salespeople. There's no like, hey, we can get you. You don't feel like you're not gonna get ripped off, right? You check out, they bring you the car, or you can go and pick it up, and everything's on your phone.
Then it's like super frictionless.
Yeah, and so that's what I want to create for borrowers, where they can shop their loan online, and that's what they can get. And we want to make it to where they're getting a good deal, and obviously, companies got to be profitable, but when they're making a good deal, and it's seamless, it's like, okay, I'm getting a loan, and it wasn't a painful process.
No, totally. No, people gotta like realize they're building generational wealth.
Hmm.
Their grandkids or their great grandkids are gonna thank you for getting them into the home. And do
Hmm.
you do coaching at all by chance, or
Do
have you
I
ever done?
what?
Do you do coach? Have you ever gotten coached, or do you invest in a coach?
Mm-mm.
Whoa, good for you.
Jim
You
Ron.
the OG. Yeah, how about like any other like books or podcasts or articles that have an impact on your life besides Jim Rome?
So I mean, I buy a lot of books, and so if you want to look, I can give you my list of authors. Can you still see me?
No, it's a black screen.
No? Okay. So Napoleon Hill, you got to listen to Napoleon Hill. Um, you got to listen to Carnegie.
How to influence people, how to win friends and influence.
But there's a lot more. There's a lot more books than that, right? But just based off of those, you'll start getting an idea, and then within those books, they talk about other people,
No, they actually
and
do.
and so they're like, okay, well, this person influenced me. This person, I read about this, and I read about this book, and they're talk within those books. They talk about other books, and so you just buy those books, and you just kind of keep on going, and you have to be able to educate yourself and invest in yourself. And if you're not, if you're not investing in yourself and your mind and the way you're thinking and evolving, and then you become the same person, right? And then it's you're only going to get so far being you. You have to continue to develop and grow, and that's it. It can be anybody. I mean, I connect with these people, but you can connect with anybody as long as you're getting better. Then that's what matters.
Not truly, man. No, you're a student of the game. Even though you're elite, you're still a student of the game. And I think I only got a few more questions for you. Like if you were never in real estate, like what other path or what other career would you have done besides real estate?
If I wasn't in real estate, I would probably have joined technology. Yeah, technology sector. Really,
Like,
it's one of those things where I enjoy a challenge, and so if something is challenging and it's breaking your head, and you're like, how the heck do I get this figured this out? Like that to me is fun. I don't always enjoy it. Like, oh, like it's frustrating, but the fact that you're able to solve something or do something, when you look back to it, you're like, okay, that was good. Like, let's keep it going. And so technology is always a good thing, and so I would probably have joined that.
nice, man. Yeah, no, yeah. Thing there's always like milestones or accomplishments that stick with
Mhm.
you. And do you wish you had received any piece of advice that you think could have changed your whole trajectory or been a catalyst?
Yeah, of course. One of the things that I wish I would have gotten in early in my career is a financial mentor. I didn't have that. And so I made a lot of mistakes with my money, right? I partied, I spent, and I bought dumb stuff, and you're like, wow, like I had all this money, like I could have done more. And so that's one thing that I can recommend anybody. If you can get like a financial mentor earlier on, once you're making decent amount of money, that's key. And invest. You got to invest your money, and you learn that later on, and you have to get yourself some older mentors because they've already been through it. And so you gotta get, that's why I enjoy hearing older people speak, because they have so much knowledge, and they've already been through it, and they have nothing else but to give you the information.
No, you're totally right. Yeah. People who have wisdom have been there, done that. Like,
Hmm.
yes, you can learn through trial and error, but if you're willing to learn through someone else's trial and error, like that
Hmm.
really can cut your whole learning curve.
Hmm.
I think I got two more questions for you, Ray. When I'm really old, I'm gonna rewatch this. Can you give me a life message, please?
Once you're old and you're gonna rewatch this, just I would say just remember that you're not making history, you're creating history. And if whatever you want to be remembered for, you can create it right now.
No, that's
And
cool.
that's how I see it. Is you want your kids to remember you a certain way, you create that history right now. You want your parents to see you a certain way, you have to create your own history. And so every day you're creating history, and that's how you're going to be remembered. So it's not worth throwing hissy fits and complaining and whining and feeling defeated. That doesn't to me doesn't matter. To me is like, okay, how big of an obstacle can I overcome, and how well can I get it done, and with the best mentality possible. And so we create history. Well, that's what we're doing right now. We're creating history.
Brother, greatly appreciate that. My last and final question for you today is, what legacy do you hope to leave behind through your work when it's all said and done? I know you got those big goals, but what legacy do you want to leave behind?
um I mean, the legacy that I want to leave behind for my family, friends, and clients is just letting them know that everything is possible, if you make it possible. And so I want to leave a legacy where I pushed through limits and boundaries and was able to create something that brings value and saves money for anybody. And that's what I'm going to create. I'm going to create the digital mortgage experience.
It's a brand. It's a true
Hmm.
brand.
Hmm.
Um, you got anything else on your mind or in your heart that you would like to share?
No, just, I mean, it's just, you got to just, keep going, stay positive, and be a master of your craft. And that's it.
Yeah, truly, yeah, but yeah, master your craft. Yeah, there's levels within levels of mastery.
Hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard a king representing the state of California. Get in touch with Ray if you're looking to purchase a home, a refinance, or if you just want to learn more about mortgages. Ray, how do you like people getting in touch with you?
Email is always best.
Perfect, perfect. And yeah, man, thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Can you stay on the call one more minute, please?